Hi, how are you today? The improved package has arrived. We're having it fitted in time for FP1. Have a look at the factory report.
What's up guys, and welcome back to a brand new episode of my F1 2017 career mode, and we are here for round number 8 of season 4 in Baku. And as you can see, a brand new upgrade on the car for the ICE, the final one of the durability ones, so we can now focus completely on improving the car performance. And also to go with that, we are going to get a core competency progress upgrade in the form of upgrade speed. So a double upgrade to kick this episode off, and very positive signs going into obviously the future now, and delving deep into the European season. And obviously we can now, like I said, fully focus on getting actual performance upgrades for the car. So this is going to be the exciting part now, where we start developing this Mercedes car, and we're done with the reliability work for now. So I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully you guys are too, and in order to obviously get some in order to actually get those upgrades to actually improve the car performance, we are going to have to do the resource points and get the practice programs out of the way. So here we go then, jumping straight into Friday practice, and again purple scores on pretty much everything. I think I actually got a purple in everything for the first time ever around Baku. Really good practice session, and the car felt absolutely incredible. The car felt unbelievably good in Canada, but I bottled it right in the last dying ever of the Grand Prix. But here it just felt insane, like another level of consistent. Obviously I drove through the Force India, and the Force India was pretty good, but last season was the first proper season where we actually managed to bag ourselves a good result. But this year with the Mercedes, straight away the car feels on rails around this circuit. I got a really good setup on the car, and it's working beautifully. As you can see there, you do go fastest, and you would actually end the practice session P1, which is not something that happens very often, and we actually get a purple score, like I mentioned, in pretty much everything. So a very positive way to jump into the weekend, and hopefully we can carry that form into qualifying. Also, obviously, I'm sort of holding my breath and taking it with a pinch of salt, because this is Baku after all. My record around here speaks for itself. So we'll have to take it how it comes and see how it all happens. But as you can see, jumping into Q1 now, opting for the slower soft compound tyre, and we actually go P3 there, ahead of Lewis Hamilton, surprisingly. So a good way to kick off the Q1 session, and eventually we would qualify, and comfortably actually, in P5. So a very nice qualifying session there in Q1. Perez being the fastest man after winning the last race in Canada. He's continuing his good form, and he's looking right at the money here this weekend. But now in Q2, as you can see, opting now for the super soft compound tyres, the more aggressive compound, and the lap's off to a very good start, and we would actually cross the line and quite comfortably go P1. The question is, are we going to hold that by the end of the session, or will other people around me improve? And the answer is obviously that we are not going to take first places, because Lewis Hamilton actually put in a banker lap, and it was pretty damn impressive. I've got to say, me and Lewis are pretty much competing here for first place after Q2. So going to Q3, I was quite intrigued to see what the final qualifying laps would be. So straight away, jump into the lap now, really attacking the first corner here. I absolutely hit that perfectly. I can't describe how happy I was and how satisfied I was with how well turn 1 worked out for me there. Braking as late as possible, smaller lock up, but still getting the apex beautifully. Turn 2 also very good, just clipping the inside curb just perfectly. And then now braking for turn number 3, use the curb on the right hand side as a reference point, and a very nice start to the lap so far. As we now go into turn number 4, right-hander here, third gear corner. Once again, good traction, good entry speed, all very good so far, and the car's working beautifully for me. But then I make a little mistake here, as you can see, just turning it a little bit too early, literally half a tenth too early, and actually I had to correct my steering, and that's going to set me back a couple of tenths in the first sector to my teammate Lewis Hamilton. But let's continue on here, see how this lap unfolds as we now go through the castle section here, really being aggressive, trying to push the car as much as possible, getting as close to the walls as you dare. And on the exit, getting a little bit of a tank slapper, losing the back end slightly, so a bit of a scruffy lap in a couple of particular areas so far in Q3. Perez goes fastest of anybody in Q3, so incredible lap there from the Force India driver. That's a very hard lap to beat, I'm not going to lie. So the pressure's on now as we come to the second sector, and we're neck and neck with Sergio Perez here, literally half a tenth in it. It's going to be so close, and now going into this final sector, which is all about the engine power. Unfortunately, because it's Sergio Perez, he's in a Force India, and that car is very similar pace to mine, so it's going to be neck and neck running this down to the wire here on the lap, and definitely an incredible lap in Q3. Can I pull something out the bag here and get a good result? Here we go, DRS wide open, pulling to the left hand side, across the line. Have we done it? I don't think we have. I think Perez has taken it, and across the line, yes it is, it's second place. So Perez takes pole position for Baku. Oh my days, after winning the last race in Canada, he's bagged himself a pole position in the very next race. So Sergio Perez on the money here, and what an incredible lap that is from the Force India driver. I delivered my absolute best of a lap. I mean, if I hadn't made that little mistake where I had to correct the steering, I reckon I could have just snatched pole position, but that's what fine margins are. But we beat Hamilton anyway, so overall a very good qualifying session, but we're now going to move into the race. Right, so here we are then on race day at Baku, one of my tracks that I most hate on the calendar. However, with the Mercedes car, it seems to be a little bit of a different story that we've had in the last 3 seasons. The car feels very hooked up around here, and it's the best car I've ever had around this circuit. And this is definitely one of the better times, just like Canada. This is the best the car has felt all season along with Canada in terms of those 2 races. So maybe we're hitting a sweet spot with this car now in terms of the setup. I've also been doing a few changes, and the car seems to be working for me. But obviously P2 on the grid, Sergio Perez, the man who won the last race, is on pole position. That guy is on a roll right now. And Force India, in terms of their development, showing no signs of slowing up. Like I said, they brought an upgrade to this race. So it's getting really, really close, and if us three, as like constructors, get closer to Ferrari, it could get very, very tasty in this championship. But P2 for us, and Lewis Hamilton, I believe, starts from P3. In terms of the tyres, obviously starting on the super softs. In terms of the race strategy, though, one stop onto soft compound tyres, and fuel-wise, running it pretty much on 26 laps, bang on. Marginal to the end. So fairly straightforward strategy for the race, and hopefully we can have a good one. I'm looking forward to it, and obviously I want to try and make up for my wrong in the last race in Canada if possible, after absolutely bottling it after the safety car very late in the race. So hopefully we can avoid having the same sort of mistake and actually have a good race here today. So without further ado, let's jump straight to the race now for round number 8 for the Baku Grand Prix. Right then, here we go. 5 red lights. Sergio Perez and Hamilton both on super soft tyres. Lights out and away we go. Let's try and have a good start here. Everyone pretty much the same tyres, like I said, so it's going to be fairly even Stevens into the first corner. We take the inside line here, and I've got, I think, Hamilton on my outside who's trying to make his way through. Perez having a great start. Hamilton is still on my outside here as we go into turn 2. I'm going to run a little bit deep on purpose to try and squeeze Lewis out, and there we go. We've managed to achieve that, so we've held on to second place for now, and there's going to be so much slipstreaming going on this entire race, so it's critical that we break away from the pack a little bit and try to get caught up in the constant just slipstreaming pattern, otherwise we're going to be in trouble. But Perez really having a good start and actually really setting some good initial pace here, so let's see if we can keep up with him. I think we should be okay, but Perez really on form at the moment. Right, here comes Lewis. He's got a slipstream on me, and he's going to try and make the move. I'm not going to fight him too hard as it is early on in the Grand Prix, and to be fair, I wouldn't mind if Lewis actually got a few more extra points than me this race, because he does need them in the championship. But we've actually managed to pull back in front of him into the brake zone, as my straight line speed is pretty damn high. I've got some pretty low wings in the car, and that seems to be basically paying off for me right now, because it's going to allow me to defend on the straights a little bit easier than what it has been in the past. So that's also a very good thing for us and a good advantage to have. I don't think he's going to get close enough to have another go at me here into turn 3. So we're going to hold off with P2 for now, and let's see if we can try and catch Perez. Well, so far it's Perez leading the way, myself and Lewis in second and third, and it's Esteban Ocon in P4. So it's Mercedes powered cars doing the business here at Baku so far, and Ferrari not being able to respond to the pace that we're all setting. Perez goes fastest, and I kind of go 2 tenths fast, 2 tenths slower than him. Raikkonen goes fastest though out of everybody there, so maybe Raikkonen is the one who's going to show signs for non-branded Mercedes power unit cars that might pull something out of the bag this race. But so far Perez's pace, just like Canada, is very impressive. I've got to say, I'm very, very impressed. Well, to big disappointment for Sergio Perez here, according to the radio, as Jeff just said. Perez has got issues with his car, so he's going to start going backwards here, so that's very unfortunate for him. So that's going to make things a little bit easier for me to catch him. However, DRS is now enabled, and Lewis Hamilton, with the DRS assistance now, is going to gain those extra Ks in a straight that he's going to need to try and have a go at me here. As he goes up my inside, I'm going to let him have the inside line. I'm not going to battle him too hard, and Lewis makes the move here. For now, he's into P2, so fair play to him. That's a nice little move he's done there, and let's see what Ocon does, and let's see what happens to Perez. But right now, this top 5 is looking like where it's at the moment, and even though Perez has issues, you know, the AI after 3 or 4 laps do tend to fix it, so he's got a nice little cushion that he can afford to lose. And then even if he gets overtaken by all of us, if his pace continues to be what it has been so far, he's still going to be a contender for the race win. So anyone can win this race at the moment. It's so exciting, and even I'm just so impressed with the Force Indians being able to keep up at the moment. But we've got a yellow flag a little bit further behind there. Someone's had an issue, so I don't know who that is, but constant yellow flag going through the castle, and someone's actually pulled over, and I think he's pulled down the slip road. It's Roman Grosjean out of the race here in Baku, so the first retirement of the race confirmed. But here we are, still behind Lewis Hamilton here, and Perez still holding first place, so the issue is not bothering him too badly. So let's see how this all unfolds. Right, here we go then, on to the start of lap number 6, and Lewis Hamilton could be about to make it, and Mercedes 1-2 his eye, just follow basically, and he's making the move on Sergio Perez. Esteban Ocon keeping Raikkonen at bay, and those two are starting to battle, so it's becoming a three-way horse for the race win here at the moment, and Perez drops down to P2 obviously with those issues to his car, but still his pace is really good to say he's got some sort of problem. But Lewis Hamilton takes the lead of the race here, and I'm not going to be too far behind in terms of obviously getting past Perez myself here. Unfortunately, he does have DRS off of Lewis, so I can't actually make the move just yet, but the move will come sooner rather than later. I think probably some point this lap, because obviously he is struggling in some other areas. I think under braking seems a little bit slow, and I think he might have a missing gear. That's what I think he might have his issue. But I think it might be a pretty low gear, and obviously don't really use really low gears around here. So I think he might not be struggling too badly. So let's see if we can get past Sergio. Like through here, I feel like he's very slow. This is where I think he might be missing a gear. So either way, we're going to try and make the move on Perez fairly soon, and hopefully he doesn't hold me up too much. Okay, here we go at the castle section, all over the back of Sergio Perez's gearbox here. We're going to opt for the outside line, surely not. Not into this corner here, it's going to be very close. We're going to go around the outside of Sergio. What a move, lovely stuff. Clean around the outside, making the move, nice and easy. And there we go, we're up into second place. Now though, we've got to use some rich mix to try and defend from the full senior in the straight line. So let's just crank it up, use rich mix along the entirety of this straight just to get away. And it's going to be a Mercedes 1-2 with Hamilton leading the way, which is a very good result for us as a team if it stays like this for the rest of the Grand Prix. Well, it looks like me and Lewis Hamilton are neck and neck for pace here. I just had a personal best last lap. This one's not as good as the last lap, but I'm actually pushing to the absolute limit here, and the gap is just sitting at 2 seconds. It just goes to show how on the edge we both are and how matched for pace we are. I just can't seem to make any inroads into Hamilton's lead, which is frustrating to say the least, but the pit stops are coming up, so we can try and make something happen here. But I feel that's the only way I'm going to try and get past Lewis, because I don't have a lot of rich mix in reserve anyway, so it's got to be a pit stop battle and try and do an undercut or an overcut. Right, so the pace, like I said, has remained neck and neck, and the gap's just around 2 seconds, and Ocon is actually keeping up and actually starting to catch me up here. So I'm going to come in this lap, I'm going to come in for the soft compound tyres and try and undercut Lewis Hamilton here. So let's go and push this pit entry a bit and try and be aggressive with it and see how much time we can gain. But there we go, bang on the 60 for the pit entry, not too bad. That's a pretty good entry if I do say so myself. We've got Esteban Ocon coming in as well. Will he hold us up? Hopefully not. No, he doesn't. Right, lovely, we just got away. It's actually Vettel, sorry. So luckily we didn't get held up there in the pit entry, which was absolutely critical. So we're going to rejoin the track just behind. It looks like Carlos Sainz, who's on super soft compound tyres there, and maybe Jolyon Palmer in the Renault. So hopefully we don't get held up too badly. We can make light work of the Renault driver, because I want that clean air to try and undercut obviously my teammate. So let's see what pace we got, and let's see if we can get past Palmer straight away. It's going to be a bit of a stretch to get past him here, because the straight isn't really long enough, so we might have to wait a couple of corners to make the move, but I don't think it's going to take too long to get past the British driver here. And we've actually got some really good pace. Like, the car is hooked up around this circuit. I mean, me and Hamilton improving it. The Mercedes is working an absolute treat. But here we go, right at the back of Palmer now. The move's got to come soon, and it might come sooner rather than later. Come on, let's try and get past this little chicane section and set ourselves up for a move maybe into this next brake zone. Can we get close enough? Palmer's got some good acceleration. I'm going to go for it anyway though. Stick my nose up the inside. There we go, very nicely done. And we're past Palmer. Let's crack on. Right, fastest middle sector. Lewis is in the pit lane, so this is going to be very, very close. I've cranked up to rich mix, so this straight is going to really help me out in terms of my overall straight line speed. What I can hope for is that Lewis got held up in the pit lane, but really, unless it was Esteban Ocon, he's not going to get held up by anybody. So we're sort of praying on a miracle here. Let's see where we are. We're trying to get as much speed as possible. 330 k's using the rich mix here. Let's see where Lewis is. Braking hard for turn 1. Going to take the inside. Just try and get the corner slowed down. There is Hamilton. Yes, it is. That's Hamilton right there. So we've just managed to undercut him. So it's worked out beautifully, and we're ahead of my teammates. So that is an absolute definition of an undercut there. So that's worked out just brilliantly for us, and we're ahead of Lewis Hamilton, and we're now leading the Baku Grand Prix. So now let's try and make light work of Carlos Sainz, and then we can have a little battle with Hamilton until the end of the race, which I'm looking forward to be honest, because first time we've really come to blows with the 4-time world champion in real life. So this is going to be very interesting indeed here. But first of all, we've got to tackle Carlos Sainz, who is currently in first place. So let's try and get past him first. No way past. That's very frustrating around this circuit to actually try and overtake. But this time though, we are going to get a very nice run on Carlos Sainz here, and I'm actually not going to get the DRS because I've got too much of a momentum boost already, so we're actually going to miss out on DRS here, so that's not ideal. And here comes Hamilton now. He's picking up a toll on Sainz. He will have DRS, and these two are going to basically DRS each other. Sainz comes into the pit lane. Now Hamilton's going to be unleashed into me, and the question is now, will he have a run on me into the next heavy braking zone of turn 3? We'll have to wait and see, but for now, no attack into turn 1. Will he have a go in this next DRS zone? It's critical that we get a good exit out of here. Very nice apex there, nice bit of traction, and I think we might just have enough of a gap for Hamilton not to attack us just yet. So very nice job there so far. This race is so intense. We're on the absolute limit. I think I'm going to do a fastest lap, but I think Lewis is probably going to smash it, and there you go. Lewis is really matching me for pace at the moment. Ocon also just 2.8 down the road, so this is a very intense race. The pace is so equally spread out between all the top teams here. It's incredible to see, and me and Lewis are neck and neck for pace. It's so equal because DRS is really giving him a helping hand. Otherwise, I think the gap would be harder to reduce. But here comes Lewis. He's having a look here, but I'm just going to go to the inside a little bit, defend a little bit, and there we go. We're going to stay ahead for a little bit longer, but Lewis is definitely give me, the old signs and trying to force me into mistakes, which I'm doing here and there, and he's really just putting the pressure on at the moment. Wow, just had a bit of a poor lap this time round, a couple of mistakes, and overall a scruffy lap. And here comes Lewis Hamilton now, much earlier on, DRS enabled. I'm going to squeeze him to the inside, but the overspeed is way too much for me to handle, and Lewis is going to take the lead of the race here at Baku. I'm almost going to run into the back of him, just about avoiding his rear end there. That could have been very nasty, but Lewis takes the lead of the race. The question is, can we get back past him here with DRS in the second DRS zone, and can we keep up with him? That's the main question. So let's see what happens. Ocon is not too far behind, so he's also in contention for this race. A race that, really he should have won last year because he was right in the mix for him. Unfortunately retired from the race, so he'll be wanting to exercise his demons and try and win it. But here we go. It's looking very tasty between myself and Lewis. It's a battle of the silver arrows for supremacy here in Baku. Okay, so Lewis hasn't been able to shake me off, and I think I'm going to return the favour to him as I get a huge slipstream on my teammate here. The 5.5 wings are really helping me out, and the low drag setup overall. And there we go, a comfortable move past my teammate. A lot more speed than what he had over me. Just goes to show the difference in the setups that we have. And I take back the race lead here in Baku, and I'm back up into P1. This is going to be very intense until the very last lap. Okay, this lap's been pretty damn good. I've managed to shake off Lewis Hamilton. He's actually outside of DRS. I think also he might have a small issue because he seems pretty slow on the straights. I can't tell, that's just me having just an incredible lap or him struggling a little bit now. So we'll keep an eye on it as I do match my personal best. But Lewis definitely has dropped off the pace a little bit. So let's just keep an eye and see how things unfold. Right, I think it's time to kick this race into high gear. 0.4 to use. So we're going to crank up the rich mix, and we're going to have a really hard and just push this next up as hard as we can and really extract the maximum from the car. So let's push. I've run out of rich mix, and Hamilton is really putting on the pressure again. Really just struggling to find any more pace out of the car. I'm just keeping him outside of DRS, but any mistake and it's game over. Like, it's that intense. I'm on the limit every lap. Every lap is pretty much near perfect. I'm very impressed with how well I've driven this race, but one mistake and Hamilton's going to scoop me up, and I feel like he's only getting stronger as this race ends. Right, on to the last lap. Lewis Hamilton is just about within a second, so it's going to get very intense. Right, here we go then, out of the last major corner now. It's flat out to the line. I can see Lewis Hamilton's indicator, so he's very close. Is he close enough? We'll have to wait and see. Let's hope we've got enough here. I'm going to crank up the rich mix to try and survive. Let's see if we can make it. Here comes Lewis, DRS wide open. I'm going to pull over to the left hand side, and I think I'm going to hold on, and I'm going to win at Baku. Get in. Oh man. Woo. Oh man, that was a stressful race. That was long, that was tough, and that was very intense. One of the most intense and enjoyable races I've ever had in the game. I've never enjoyed racing around Baku so much because the car felt absolutely immense. The car was immaculate that entire race, and you could really notice it. And me and Lewis neck and neck for pace. I mean, you could fit a piece of paper between us or separate us by a hairline. We were so close the entire race, but I just came out on top. I think just using that little bit of rich mix and saving that bit of rich mix just for the last straight definitely made a difference there, and that means that we win the race, and it's a 1-2 for Mercedes. I wouldn't have minded Lewis Hamilton winning the race for the championship, but I've got to do what I've got to do. Raikkonen didn't score a lot of points. That's a good chance for me to overtake him in the championship, but whew, that was a long race, man. Long race, and Ocon rounds up the podium, so he gets his podium that he should have had last year. So fair play to him. Perez also has some great pace, so Force India are really going well around this circuit, as they did in Canada. To be fair, so Force India seemingly on the rise, but we take 25 points here in Baku, and a very enjoyable race. But we're now going to move into the final race results, drivers and constructors standings. Right, so looking at the final race results, I win the Baku Grand Prix ahead of Lewis Hamilton, and Esteban Ocon wraps up the podium. Sergio Perez recovers to P4 after having those issues earlier in the race, so a Mercedes absolute engine dominance around here, and Kimi Raikkonen, the best of the non-Mercedes engine cars, with P5 there ahead of both of the Red Bulls, and Carlos Sainz, good P8 there behind Felipe Massa in P7, and Magnussen and Palmer once again getting points here, but further down the order, Verstappen misses out on points, as does obviously Grosjean and Ericsson due to a DNF, and Sebastian Vettel finishes 18th place and picks up a 3-second time penalty. There's something happened there to Sebastian Vettel on a two-stop strategy, something that we don't know about, but getting into a little kerfuffle or two. But in terms of the driver standings after that race, we have a 14-point cushion over Kimi Raikkonen, and Lewis Hamilton jumps Sebastian Vettel for 3rd place, but those two have got work to do to try and catch up in the World Drivers' Championship. But right now, myself and Raikkonen are in a league of our own. In terms of the constructors, though, we re-overtake Ferrari by a big margin this race after getting a 1-2, and Ferrari only get one of their cars to the line, and we're 21 points ahead at the top of the table in the constructors there. But we're now going to move into the laptop and see how things shape up after that race. Okay, so another core competency progress update and upgrade for this episode. As you can see, we actually improved the pit stop efficiency, so that's a very, very welcome upgrade, and we're starting to get, developing this part of the obviously the R&D. So pit stop should be slightly quicker, which is good news, and we're just working towards the goals. Bit by bit we are getting there, so it's a very, very encouraging sign. But if we look at the laptop now after that race, things are actually pretty interesting. We're beating Vettel in the driver rivalry, and we're getting the bar slowly up to the purple in the bottom right, as you can see there. But in terms of obviously the upgrades, this is very interesting. I noticed going into this race, obviously forcing the Brawn upgrade. Look how close we are. Literally, all three of us, pretty much, forcing the Red Bull and Mercedes, all in the exact same place in the R&D chart. Ferrari up front by themselves, and also Renault bringing some major upgrades. It looks like this season Renault are making a big push to really try and become a top team. You can see that they're starting to just pull away from Williams a little bit, and that midfield is just starting to separate a little bit, as also Williams are also getting a couple of upgrades also in there. So overall, things are looking very interesting. Renault could be maybe a top team by the weekend, which would be very, very interesting indeed. But in terms of the upgrade tree, no upgrades for the next episode. Obviously, we've got 636 points. We've done our durability upgrades, and now the plan is to save up on the points and try and obviously improve the car in different areas. So depending on what races come up next, we'll obviously improve, but we'll see what happens down the line. But other than that, guys, hopefully you have enjoyed this episode of Career Mode. And if you have, then please do smash the like button. Let's see if we can try and smash 300 likes for this episode. Also, subscribe to my channel if you're new around here. And also do check out the links in the description down below for GT Omega using the code TOM97 for a 5% discount at checkout. And also do check out these videos on screen right now if you have missed any of them. But other than that, guys, thanks a lot for watching. Let's have my next video very soon. Goodbye.